recording? Okay, good. All right, so is everybody having a pretty decent time?
Yeah, we're having a great time.
Awesome. All right, I appreciate that. So very quickly, this is not going to be our last WorkSmart. All right, we had about half capacity. I didn't expect it to be blown out. Like I said, we started doing these in the 2010s, and it was called Work Smarter, Play Harder. I didn't like the name too much, but I just went along with it. It was good, but we kind of regrouped it against Work Smarter, Not Harder. And the whole idea is to try to do things more effectively and efficiently. And the reason for that is because, just like Hopeton mentioned, just like Joe mentioned, just like John Kazimatides mentioned, we want successful businesses. All right? So there's ways of doing things effectively and efficiently, and we learn those through these workshops over the course of time. And I think it's a great way of bringing all the networking groups together. So, all right. So let's talk about, I wanted to talk with you today about my third book, which is coming out. It's called Improvise, Adapt, and Overcome. And this is, my first book is called How to Program Your Life. I did it in 2016, launched in 2017 on Amazon. Basically, the startup steps, the first 10 years of my being in business and what I learned along the way. Everything from just running from appointment to appointment to how to handle overdraft charges, because that was the thing. The first 10 years, I was just trying to rob Peter to pay Paul in order to get things going. Totally honest. As time went on, it got a little more structured. And things got busy. This is my third book. My second book is 30 Days to a Better Brand. It's basically all the steps that you need to be successful as an influencer in Rockland County. I do highly recommend that you get some social media and some news help. We know some pretty good people through Rockland's News. I know Anu from Anu Socials is here. She's fantastic at it. But this is the third book. And you see there's obviously some stuff that is very, very real. And I'm going to tell you about a few of those stories today. For those of you that don't know about my back history, I'll just tell you really quickly. So we moved up from Queens in 1982. My grandfather moved me and my mom up here. I helped run the family bike store for many years, starting from the age of 8. I went to college and graduated in 2006. I started Rockland Web Design in 2007, and then yada, yada, yada. Another thing that I'm very proud of is, in between all that, I was actually a teacher for Rockland's BOCES, right up the road from here, for 19 years. I called it quits after COVID. I was just like, I can't do the Zoom thing. I'm already running Zooms like 24/7. You guys, does everybody like Zoom? No. Yeah, it's like a necessary evil at this point. Well, we were doing Skypes and Zooms before anybody knew of those words. That's how we survived the first 5-10 years in business, is doing remote calls. So it worked out pretty well. We also have Rockland's News, as you know, okay? We clocked 590,000 page views on our publication at rocklandsnews.com and 3.6 million views on social media. So it's getting somewhere. Trying to make it cool, and then see where we go from there. We did 600 stories last year, mostly news, traffic, weather, and sports. Because we have a sports guy now. His name is Tom Brady. I kid you not. Thomas Brady. He's a sports professional coach in Rockland County, and he does a sports segment. I don't know anything about sports, so he does really good. When you see me at the networking events, you see just me, but we have a team. This is our 2026 team, except for Joel. He's actually moving on to be in actuarial sciences. We recruit a lot of college students to get there to help out, and we give them great recommendations. I got a guy that is at a Washington think tank for about 10 years in a little small company called Foreign Reports. But what was not on those last few slides are some personal challenges that I dealt with over the years. The biggest, if you will, shocked the system. I mentioned that my grandfather moved us up here when I was 7. My parents were already divorced. Well, at the age of 12, while my father was coming to visit us, he was on the Harlem River Drive, exit 155, just across Yankee Stadium. He got out of the car to change a flat tire. Yeah, so we don't have to go too much in detail. The ironic thing of it is because of the divorce, at least I had a little bit more separation during that time, so it was a little bit easier for me to be detached. However, it did cause a lot of issues over the course of the next 10 or 15 years. A lot of emotional and psychological too. Tough to really figure out where you're supposed to get the best possible information. I would have to credit my grandfather and my mom, of course, for kind of guiding me in the right way. I was able to put myself through college on my own dime, still paying off some college loans. But I always learned to work hard. That's something that I can definitely relate to, and I think everybody in this room can relate to, especially those that made it to breakfast at 8:30 today. Being able to be here and show up. When you say you're going to be somewhere, you show up. And then, started my own companies. And everything was actually going pretty damn swimmingly up until COVID. And what happens, I'll talk about COVID in a minute, but I was an avid reader for many, many years. But I think something that happens because of my early past is I really, really got into music and movies. And when something not just hit me, mentally, but also in my heart, I really, really embraced it. And one of those things was a concept that I got from that movie that I mentioned to you before. Improvise, adapt, and overcome. And that comes from a Clint Eastwood movie called Heartbreak Ridge, where he's a veteran Marine that's tasked with the concept of trying to train these grunts that are really they just don't have any direction. And that was a statement that was in the movie many times, and it really stuck with me. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a little clip for you, not the whole clip, but for those of you that haven't seen the movie, this is a clip of Clint Eastwood. Basically, it's two different platoons that are fighting it out with each other in a water pit. And one of them basically does whatever he has to in order to win. So let's just take a moment, about a minute and a half, and we'll take a look at it. I won't play the whole clip for you, but here we go. And also, I tried this out before, so I'm going to make sure that the audio isn't too loud, so just bear with me. I remember this happened last time.
Great movie.
Introducing Ashley Love.
Hold for advertisement from Ashley Furniture. Great startup for a Marine segment.
I say he improvised. He cheated! He adapted and he overcame. There's only one way to settle this. Platoon side. Front and center.
Rev Sergeant, I'm leading your platoon today. Oh man, it's time somebody to choose your place.
So, spoiler alert, you know what happens. The other guy does not win. So there it is. All right, so remove the next slide somehow. What did I do there? Move to the next slide. Bear with me.
Introducing Ashley Love's exclusively in
Hold for Ashley Furniture. I gotta reach out to them and see if they're interested in sponsoring the next event. Somehow they slipped in here, and escape. Come on, baby. Bear with me for a minute. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. Okay, so like I said. That leads us up to right now, which is, or 2020. So that was basically that's what I did in order to get my company, and it was just one company, Rockland Web Design, up to about $250,000 in revenues from all over. Right? A lot in the Hudson Valley, a little bit in New York, mostly in Rockland. And we had a ragtag team, including someone that worked for me from college for 15 years. And I'll get into that story really quickly in a bit. But everything was going along swimmingly. However, I ran into a few challenges. And these are the ones that we're going to detail very quickly. And in this, I'm going to apply that improvise, adapt, overcome concept. All right, so the first is Rockland's News. Some of you know how I ended up buying Rockland News. One of my friends actually owns the Rockland County Times. He's a friend of mine from Rockland Community College, where I started out my college journey. And he basically bought it, he was running it. Unfortunately, he got clipped for doing something really dumb. I think he would agree with me when I say that. And he had to sell the company. But in between the time where he got clipped and he had to sell the company, I reached out to him and I was like, hey man, maybe I can help you out. Maybe we can work on it together. I can invest some money, etc., etc. And he never responded back to me for whatever reason, okay? And I'm still friends with him. I saw him at a poker game 2 weeks ago. But one day, I'm sitting in front of the computer. And by the way, at that point, I was living up in Highland Falls for about 2 years, okay? And I have pictures of this. Anybody want proof of this? I was living in General Putnam's old mansion, overlooking the Hudson River. Beautiful. And it really changed my mindset. You ever have those moments where you go somewhere or you do something that really says, you know what, maybe I can elevate my, my existence a little bit more while I'm here? That did it for me. So I'm sitting in front of the computer, you know, a little bit happy and everything like that. And I'm like, I wonder if Rockland News is available.com. And I did a search for it. And it was available, just the domain, for $4,300. Yeah. And I'll kind of mime this a little bit. But basically, okay, I'm going to buy it, which I did. That would be the improvised part of the whole thing. And then over the course of time, we learned to adapt. I didn't know anything about the news industry except my history degree, knowing how to research and document things, being honest. Knowing how to research and document things, and also relying on our web development team in order to make things happen. Adapt. All right? And I think we're still in the process of overcoming some of the different publications that are out there, and we're not in a rush. We're not. So we're going to learn how to do this right, and I think over the course of time, and obviously we're making the right moves, speaking with John and so on, so we'll see how it goes. All right? But then there's some other things that were a little bit more difficult to get through. And one of them is March 23rd, 2023. So, at the beginning of the year, Ulta was talking before about cash flow. And everything looks great from the QuickBooks standpoint. Oh, the profit statement is great. Unfortunately, I wasn't checking the bank account. And the cash flow didn't just go down to zero, it went under. And I didn't even realize it. Just disconnected. My fault. All right? I mentioned we do web design. We also host about 100 websites. And those websites basically all went down on the same day. And the reason for that is because the Amazon Web Services hosting system, the best enterprise level hosting services, they weren't getting any money. All right? I had to switch it over to another bank account very quickly. And it's my own fault, because for 3 months, what I saw but didn't let myself accept it is that our customers that were on 30-day terms and sending checks were now 90 days without even letting us know. So I wasn't keeping up with the books. They were basically just, send the check whenever. And the accumulation of it was starting to get really, really dire. That was my wake-up call right there. And that's when I had to improvise immediately. And I'll never forget this feeling when I just went and I looked at and I realized what happened and realized I gotta make a change. This whole system that I built up. Can you imagine failing after 17, 18 years? Hope didn't mention you drop one coin. But imagine if you put all your eggs in one basket and everything just fails in one shot after 16 or 17 years. That was that day. And I had a moment where I felt like it was the abyss. But I gathered myself, actually said a little prayer, and got to work. First thing, I called Amazon and begged them to give me more time. They gave me a week, all right? Second, I switched bank accounts, no problem. It wasn't set up to do Amazon, but we got it set up, so we gave them a little bit, thousands and thousands of dollars in one shot, and then called up all of those individual companies and basically told them, listen, you got to pay, okay? And they still didn't pay. Some of them did, some of them didn't, but we still got enough money in order to get things up and running, all right? There's more. Then there was the $243,000 incident, as I like to call it. As a part of that catastrophe, now remember, I never dealt with that before. I was in la-la land, like, hey, everything's great. I mentioned about somebody that worked for me for 15 years. Well, it turns out that I ended up owing her $5,000 in back pay. And I told you the system was broken in my company, and here's why. Because I was relying on the projects getting done and then getting paid. Instead of taking the deposits or getting paid in advance and then making sure that the team got paid. So what I decided to do, and now this is a system for every one of that team that you saw, is we basically flip the paradigm, okay? We obviously take a deposit before work. We can take the whole thing, we will, quite honestly. But then, my investment immediately is in the team. That was the adaptation, is at the beginning of the month, I send an ADP payment to our entire team, and they're paid for the entire month. I can't even begin to tell you how much more peaceful it is for me, because now it's a 1-month bet. And quite frankly, there have been a few people in my company now that have underperformed. And now I could just tell them at the end of the month, your services are no longer welcome. Thank you for your time, your excuse. All right? Saves a lot of paperwork too, I'll tell you. And on top of that, I made sure not only that my team member was paid, okay? And you're probably wondering what the $243,000 number is out of this. I'll explain. I told her, I said, I'm going to pay you every single penny that you deserve. Excel spreadsheet, everything that's all, sent it off to her. Well, her husband decided that he could get a payday out of this, and he got one of his friends, a lawyer, to try to sue me for $243,000. I got on the phone with the lawyer, and he says, well, we're willing to settle for $40,000. And I'll blank myself out. Get the blank out of here. He goes, oh, you're being disrespectful to me. He says, no, I'm not being disrespectful to you. I'm being disrespectful to the offer that you gave me. Now, you hear this. You're going to go back to your client, and you're going to tell him I'm going to settle for $10,000, including your metered expenses. And he says, you're not the boss of me. True words. And he says, actually, you're obligated to tell your client a valid offer. He got off the phone, he called her, he signed the paperwork the next day. And then, after everything was paid off, I actually met up with her, and I said, you did great work, and I'm really sorry that happened. I wish I could have paid you the whole $10,000. Want to come back to work for me? And she's now the editor of Rockland's News. And there's a precedent for that. She was actually the editor of the Rockland County Times. Not the one that got in trouble. Another person. She used to work for the Rockland County Times. So we're gaining experience, overcoming those challenges that come along.
Teaches you a lesson.
Say it again?
Teaches you a lesson.
It's a lesson learned. Yeah, it really is.
Don't try to predict.
Yep. WRCR radio, I won't get into this too long because I want to get you guys out of here, but AM 1700, all right? I mentioned before, we mentioned the WRCR radio went off the air. All right, John Katsimatidis leaves me a voicemail that says, I'm going to sue you because, or I'm going to mention on WABC that you're fake news. So luckily, his daughter called me up afterwards. I started making nice. Now we're talking. We'll see where it goes. Improvise, adapt, overcome. Rockland Music Fest. This is so near and dear to my heart. I told you I'm into music and I'm into movies. Okay? The music part of it, the music just resonates with me. Can't explain it here. You just got to go to a music festival. Built up small festivals over the course of 10 years. Decided to make the jump. Hoped it helps me with the improvise part. Set up the corporation. Adapt. Get the stage together. Get all the bands together. And still overcome a whole bunch of challenges. For instance, the stage company just destroyed us. The stadium was expensive. We're going to do another one, but those are the sort of things that if you're really passionate about something, you improvise, you adapt, and you overcome. And that's the whole concept here. Thank you. Okay, so let's go into what this is, and I'll have you out of here. Improvise, adapt, and overcome. It's really 3 individual components, all right? Not to get too granular, I don't want to get atomic on this, okay? But, so improvise, the thing that I like the most, and you can take your pick which one it is, mine is to make, invent, or arrange offhand. Now, if you remember during that Clint Eastwood component there, where he was talking, it says, the Marines, they improvised. He didn't mention the adapt and overcome until he got a response. But he was the first strike. Sometimes you have to take a chance. Sometimes you have to be the first person to put it out there in order to set it in motion. That's improvisation. You got to take that chance. And you don't know where it's going to go when it happens. You just got to believe that it's going to happen. And sometimes it won't work. But 100% of the tries was Wayne Gretzky. 100% of the shots you don't take, sometimes you gotta improvise. Adapt. All right, to make it fit. As for new use, often by modification. And basically what that means is over the course of time, your original idea is going to change. It's not going to be the exact same way that you intended it. Clint Eastwood didn't go into that mud pit to fighting until he realized that that was what he had to do. So you have to adapt. You network. You meet with the people that are going to align with what you are intending to do, and you can help them along the way, just like Joe was talking about. How to be the ultimate connector in a disconnected world. And from a web developer's perspective, we are disconnected. How many people have been on at least 3 Zooms this past month? Okay, that's half the room. Okay? How many in-person meetings have you done over the past month? Hopefully a lot, right? Networking meetings? Okay, about the same. All right. And for those of you that haven't been to those in-person meetings, 5 years past COVID, I think it's starting to come back. It's been coming back, but there's another wave where we have more residents coming into Rockland. We have more businesses opening in Rockland. We have more activity, more need for services, residential housing, commercial. All that stuff is starting to come together. The rebirth of the RBA 2.0. The TBN, the BSPN, the RBE. We're adapting and we're working together. And finally, overcoming. And this is very personal because it involves willpower. To get the better of, to overwhelm, and it's a bit of a soft skill. Because I don't think anybody here is out for total domination or total winning of anything. All right? I think with us it's collaboration. But if you can overwhelm your challenge, that's really what it comes down to. Whatever the challenge is in front of you, there's that extra oomph, that extra intangible that allows you to be able to do that. There's also, what I've found, is a little bit of a microcycle inside each one of those elements of improvise, adapt, and overcome. Learning, planning, and doing. So when you're improvising, you're certainly learning about the situation in front of you. You're planning, probably spontaneously in your mind, and then you're doing, be it by word, by deed, or text message. You're doing the same thing with adapting. It's a longer cycle. You're not adapting in a moment. You're taking maybe days, weeks, months. Johnny, when you're on a house, right? You got a feeling like, what's going to happen when you go in there from your experience. You ever run into any unforeseen challenges?
Every day. Every day.
Anybody else run into challenges during their work day?
Sure did.
Right? Yeah. And then doing, adapting to those individual challenges that are coming up. And overcoming is obviously, in my opinion, is the willpower. But, anybody like Michael Jordan? My fan is Michael Jordan. I love Michael Jordan, but basically learning how to win the game, planning it out, and doing it. 2 days ago, I woke up and I can't even tell you how bad I felt. Like I just felt exhausted, and I didn't know if I had an illness. I don't. I say that these days. Like, run. No, I'm fine. No coughing, no nothing. But I just run down, and I think I was just exhausting myself.
Yeah.
But willpower, just you know what? I don't care if I have to crawl over here and make sure we get the food, we get the room set up, and we get all the speakers. Just willpower to make it happen. I should also mention this. It's good to know your math. All right? Hope to mentioned it. I am a big fan of the Fibonacci sequence. And what this really has to do, and I actually know the sequence, I'm not going to name it, but basically how far you can scale whatever idea or project or effort. There is a certain inflection point where there's going to be way too much effort to do something in order to get a more scalable result. So I will acknowledge that there's a lot of math involved here. Instinct helps. I certainly, of all things, I would recommend pick up a few math books and really just kind of understand the concepts. Even if you don't understand it completely, I don't. But just enough so that it's going to the numbers will make more sense. We're all business people here. So know your numbers, absolutely. All right? And like I said, scaling, you're able to take this, improvise, adapt, overcome, and you can do it within the context of a day, week, month, 3 months, a year, really for as long as you can. We just celebrated our 19th anniversary in business as web developers, and 5 years on the news side is coming up, I think, in July. I forget exactly when. But we're almost hitting the 20-year mark. So that's something where this year, we're aiming to just take reflect on where we've been and then plan to set up for the next 19 years. And reading, so important. This is a great book. It's called Core Business, the 30 Management Principles of the U.S. Marine Corps. And they talk about how they apply marine principles to business concepts. For instance, the biggest one I love is during peacetime, it is a very strict hierarchy. Make sure your shoes are shined, make sure that you show up and you follow your cadence. During wartime, it's decentralized. It's like a swarm. I don't want to be on the other end of that battlefield where you have Marine expeditionary units of 3 and 5 people in a team everywhere. Everywhere. Just overwhelming the enemy because they all know they have the same idea in mind. Improvise, adapt, and overcome. There's a bunch of other books. Anybody ever read The E-Myth?
Oh, must do that.
One of my favorite books of all time. All right. It's actually a free download online. I can send you the link for it. And I'll end with this. This is my favorite. Has anybody ever seen this guy?
Absolutely.
It's great. It's like, and it really, we can't do 100% all the time, but it's just funny and just motivates you. Keep motivating yourself in order to grow yourself and the people around you. 100% or nothing. All right. And I think they stole it from Metallica. Metallica has their album Lux Eterna back in 2023. Full speed or nothing. So very important that you keep on motivating yourself. And again, that's one of the reasons why we're doing these WorkSmart conferences. It's not just about the mental, it's also about the social, it's also about the financials, it's also about the heart. So we're going to aim to do these more in the future. You can download my book, the first 3 chapters you can download. You subscribe to Rockland News. I'll send you the copy of it for free, the first 3 chapters, and then the book should be out on Amazon, I'm guessing, probably by the beginning to middle of May. Just got to do a few liner notes. Remember to inspire yourself always. These are some books that I recommend, some TV shows, and remember to celebrate the moments of your life.
Go back one slide.
Say again?
Can you go back one slide?
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Remember to celebrate the moments of your life. One of my colleagues that I know for many years said to me, he says, the secret to life is to enjoy the passage of time. And I told him that a few weeks ago. He goes, I didn't say that. So, because we just have to put it on the slide and not mention him anymore. But he's a good dude. So remember to inspire yourself always and celebrate the moments of your life. So, that's it for today. Guys, thank you for staying until the end of the day. I appreciate it. It's 11:21, so we're about 40 minutes ahead of schedule. I'll follow up with each one of you on Eventbrite. Thank you for being here. Spread the word. Put all this stuff out on social. Maybe we'll do another one again. You never know. All right? Thank you, everyone. Great time.
I get up this morning, everyone. I do a good job.
Fantastic. Come early, go early, and it's the whole day.
How do you like that?
So what happened?
You doing?
Thank you. Like it?
Remember the old face?
I found a few at my mother's house.
One more thing. Thank you to Dominican University for having us. Thank you very much. First grade, it's a little scuffle. Sister had holding up her
was a P&I chapter, and they said